Good evening and welcome to Hot Edition of 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice.
And I am Alfred Ocansey.
The news is also live on Casmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. We're also streaming live on Facebook 3FM 92.7. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours, Medical Laboratory Professionals Workers Union calls off its strike, but members to resume work on June 25.
We'll give you details of that, and also the Local and Government Staff Association, that's the CLOCSAG, to withdraw their services on July 3 over delayed implementation of new salary structure for civil servants. This evening, we have a conversation on that.
Much later, government releases some 80 million Ghana cedis to West Africa Examinations Council towards the conduct of the 2024 Basic Education Certificate exams.
Also, the board chair of the GMPC, Freddie Blay, says he would have purchased the SNIT hotels himself if he had money, as he justifies SNIT's decision to offload its majority stake in the hotels. We'll give you details of that exclusive interview that my colleague Beatrice had with him earlier today. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We have details of the latest in business and sports, also on campaign trail here on your election command center. We'll give you an update as well on the two brothers who have been shot in Bole. Also, that's what the member of parliament for the Bole constituency is saying about the lands minister unilaterally granting mining concessions to foreigners. Stay with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
And let's bring you the details of the stories. And the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union has called off its ongoing strike. The workers have been on strike since June 17 over the conditions of service. The decision to call off the strike follows a meeting involving the leadership of the laboratory scientists, the National Labour Commission, NLC, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, during which the NLC directed the group to end the boycott for negotiations to resume. Now, it comes as the industrial action begins to take a toll on services provided by laboratory scientists across public hospitals in the country. At a media briefing today, the vice chairman of the union, Dr. Franklin Amate, however, said that members will officially begin work on Tuesday, June 25.
Regarding the held with the National Labour Commission and our employers, represented by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, the outcome of this meeting is surprising, but we will take it as such. Please let me repeat that side. Okay. Let me retake everything. Communique on resumption of work. This communique is intended to apprise all members of the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union, MELPU, regarding the outcome of the meeting held with the National Labour Commission and our employers, represented by the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Finance, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. It is disappointing, but we are not surprised at all. Colleagues, below is the outcome of the meeting. The National Labour Commission has directed that the employers and the union should, 1, take immediate steps to obtain the necessary financial mandate on the issues that are subject to negotiation. 2, ensure that an officer from the Ministry of Finance with authority to make decisions during negotiations attend this meeting. That not later than Wednesday, the 26th of June, 2024, the above meeting should be held and report to the National Labour Commission on Thursday, 27th June, 2024, by 2:30 p.m. That the leadership of the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union take immediate steps to call off the strike. Having reviewed the above directive by the National Labour Commission at the National Executive Council meeting and other stakeholders meeting held between yesterday night and this morning, with our labor consultant in attendance, we have resolved to put on hold the ongoing industrial action and further advise all members of the union to return to work at their various places of work by Monday, the 24th of June, 2024, to put their workplace in readiness for full operation on Tuesday, the 25th of June, 2024. Of course, we are very much aware that our work requires calibrations and preparations of the workplace environment. And for that matter, full operation might not be very effective on the Monday. But we are hopeful that on Tuesday, the workers can operate fully at their professional capacity. The union has also become aware that some facility managers and administrators have been deliberately victimizing and...
You heard there, Dr. Franklin Amate. He represents the Medical Laboratory Scientists Association, and Dr. Amate joins us live on the line. Okay, so we rather do have Dr. Cephas. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us. Hello? Hello?
Are you?
All right, good evening to you, sir. So we're rather joined by labor analyst, labor expert Austin Gome. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
You're most welcome.
Now, for a labor consultant like yourself, I believe you get satisfaction when an impasse is dealt with, well, as it were, temporarily for now, because there's another group that is also protesting CTAG. But at this stage, you also do know that there are still issues to iron out. How should the parties approach this going forward?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, we should not even have gotten here where essential service workers like lab people will have to go on strike in the first place. So I don't know what lesson in particular the employer has learned. I hope they have learned and are concerned about the plight of people who go to hospital and may not have access to such professional services. So I'm happy at least they have agreed after a turbulent engagement with them, even after Labour Commission's direction, to go back to work, hopefully in full by Tuesday. They should go to work by Monday, but they have to do a lot of calibration and ensure that their materials and instruments are in perfect order so that they don't inflict wounds on people for nothing. So they'll be getting themselves ready for full integration into the system again by Tuesday. Hoping that the employer would also honor his side of the obligations so that we don't revisit this kind of situation again.
In fact, I was coming there because I know you've been part of the negotiations trying to get them back to work. For you, this time around, what do you think worked that made the lab technicians decide that, you know what, probably we can trust our employers and go back on Tuesday?
In fact, it's been a very Herculean task for the past weeks. Sleepless nights trying to convince them to not to go in the first place. But we have a very difficult client being the employer, not listening and not, I don't know whether they know the art and science of negotiation properly. They may claim they know something, but they couldn't do much, and that's what has led us to where we are. And thank God the Labour Commission has been very fair in acting on the issue by way of directing the employer to make sure that they obtain the necessary mandate before coming to the meeting, that an officer who has the capacity to decide on his seat whilst at the meeting, the variations, which is very important. And to the extent that we have to make sure that we complete this discussion at least between Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday by 2:30 p.m. We avail ourselves for the Labour Commission to be sure that their directives have been followed and concluded. These are essential service providers. All their matters are supposed to be resolved within 72 hours when they are submitted. That's why we made them essential services. But it does appear the employer is not aligned to the normalcy of industrial relations practices, and so sometimes they default. It's an obligation on their part, but when they default, you just have to bear it because of the clients' bills that come to the hospital. Not everybody has money, and so therefore they can't go to the private sector where they may be charged out of the normalcy. So, but I'm happy they have decided and have agreed that they will go back to work.
Mr. Game, at the same time, we do know that CTAG is also on strike. In fact, the last time we spoke, there was a consensus that this strike this time around is legal to an extent that the NLC would go to court to compel the government to implement that arbitral award for these teacher association members. How else or what else do you think can be done to get them also to call off the strike like we've seen the laboratory scientists do?
Yes, I'm really proud of them. They've done well. I'm not their consultant per se, but for the sake of the students and even themselves, I highly appreciate and honor them for their sacrifices for the past 2 years and more, that they have gone through the process. National Labour Commission have been reasonably helpful, conducted arbitration compulsorily, and award that they gave, they didn't get all. The employer didn't get all. But when it comes to implementation of the award, the employer was reneging and making it conditional. I think because they are not fully aware of how ADR or arbitration results are to be implemented. I think they did not even go to AG to be advised, because perhaps if they had gone there or sought the advice of a consultant, they could have been guided, through the ADR Act 798, that they cannot have their way the way they have it. But arbitration ruling is passed on, and not even the Supreme Court can vary it, unless the arbitrator ultra varies, which they didn't do in this case. So the employer has to be willing to learn the art and science of what it takes to go for arbitration. The best is to negotiate. If you fail, do your best to finish at mediation level. But if you don't and you want to go for arbitration, the consequences are obvious. And that's what it is. So I appreciate the concerns of the lecturers in the CTAG, but I want to humbly appeal to them that they will have to bury the hatchet, especially so when the National Labour Commission is fully seized with the matter and have decided to even go to court to seek enforcement of the arbitral award. So I will crave their indulgence. I know they are very hurt. To be honest with you, they are extremely very hurt because they've waited all these years. But you cannot, two wrongs don't make one right. The students who are their clients, if you like, who are their customers, should not become the victims of circumstances, and therefore I will urge them on to be willing to go back to work. And should the employer fail to honor the obligation, nothing stops them from renewing their industrial action. So I'll plead with them to, if they want to look at the employer called government, then nobody would survive in this country. So for the sake of country and people, I will urge them to be willing to go back to work so that we address the issues from time to time.
Mr. Gama, I want you to hold on because the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOGSAC, is also to withdraw its services on July 3 over delays by the government to implement a new salary structure for civil servants. We've been speaking to the Executive Secretary of CLOGSAC, Isaac Bampa. I want you to listen to him, and then we'll come back to wrap up our conversation.
Okay.
My question was, why would you want to embark on a strike now?
In January 2022, we signed an MOU with government, represented by the Senior Minister, Honorable Safo Mafo, the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations and Pensions, Honorable Bafo, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. And as part of our conditions of service, effective 1st January 2023, we should have been put on a new salary structure. 1.5 years down the line, that MOU has not been implemented. We've sent so many reminders. Nothing has happened. So we are now going to give them the language that they understand.
Which is withdrawing your services.
We are going to withdraw our services from 3rd July 2024. If, as at that time, our MOU has not been implemented.
When you say new salary structure, what do you mean?
Well, that is what we agreed with government, that we are supposed to have a new salary structure, and that's the agreement.
I do recall having an engagement with you on this particular subject where you talked about, I was asking you actually, that we have the single spine salary structure, and also they're also calling for a new...
Well, we have negotiated with our employer, and we have agreed that we will put on a new salary structure. And that's it. We are not now going to justify why. We've already done a justification.
And what do you think is causing the delay?
Well, they are the best people to answer. But we want an implementation of the MOU that we signed, or else, come 3rd July, we are sitting in the house.
Would you consider...
We are not considering anything.
Dialogue.
We are also thinking of the welfare of our members, and this is the time. We are not going to entertain any further delay.
Are you saying the conditions of the members have deteriorated?
We're all aware of that our conditions have deteriorated. It's a fact.
And you believe that the fair wages and salaries have not been forthcoming?
It's not fair wages. We are dealing with government. It's government. It's our employer. Fair wages is an agent of government. We are dealing with government.
When we write to them, what do they tell you? What do they tell you?
Well, we are on it. We are on it. And 1.5 years. It's not been implemented.
No, you are a key member on the labor front.
Implementation of the MOU that we signed in January 2022, or else, come 3rd July 2024, we are sitting in the house.
When you draw yourselves, how many members are we looking at?
We're looking at about 60,000.
About 60,000?
Yeah.
You heard the Executive Secretary of CLOGSAC, Isaac Bampoado. Mr. Ostingame, you're still on the line with us. Seems that it's going to be a lot of work on your hand, really.
Well, it's most unfortunate. You know, their case is similar to that of CITAC, when they have patiently been following this issue since 2022. Obviously, time has, a lot of water has passed under the bridge. And I'm sorry for National Labour Commission, because when they give directives and people are fed up and would not like to obey it, it's like they have actually disobeyed. But the employer is the cause of the problem. So I will urge them to quickly not wait till July, when the strike will begin, before they invite them. There is under section 139A the commission is to act proactively. They've been trying their best, but now this is the time for them to do it. To invite the CLOSAG and invite the employer, and first of all, engage the employer and chastise them, and invite CLOSAG and chastise the employer in the presence of CLOSAG, and let them understand that Labour Commission will not tolerate that. Indeed, let me confirm to you that Labour Commission is as equally powerful like even the presidency. That's what it is. That's how we modeled the Labour Commission. Just in the same, we customize it like that of the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Services of Washington. So nobody should take them for granted. When the commission orders, it has to be honored, it has to be honestly respected. And so those employers that have the habit of disobeying the orders of the National Labour Commission should begin to advise themselves. If they don't have the capacity to do something, there is nothing wrong if you don't know something, you ask. And nobody knows everything. I don't know everything. So when I am in difficulty, I check with other people who know it. So people should feel humbled and ask others who have the knowledge and the capacity to lead negotiations for them, to guide them through muddy waters of these kind of situations. But I feel very sad for this nation.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Austin Gome. He's a Labour expert. Alfred, I'm sure you heard his very own concerns as well about these strikes.
And you can understand when he ends with that statement that he feels sad for this country, especially because of how things have played out. And sometimes the positions that the employer takes, in this case government takes, against some of these striking unions and workers. We'll see what the CLOSAG one, how it ends. We have CTAG as well in there in the balance, and we do know that some of them have served notice that from July they would also lay their tools.
Yes.
So it's one to watch and see how government would engage to ensure that it doesn't happen. But away from that, the government has released some 80 million Ghana cedis to the West African Examinations Council, WAEC. Now, this was announced by the Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompreh on the floor of Parliament earlier today. Until today, WAEC had received just about 2.3 million cedis out of the 95.83 million cedis required to successfully facilitate the exam. Now, there have been a sense of doubt hanging over the 2024 BEC following revelations that WAEC was still awaiting the release of funds to enable it to organize the examination, which is scheduled to commence July 8. Now, first, I want to take a listen to the Member of Parliament for the Bole constituency, Honorable Yusuf Sulemana, raising concerns about government's indebtedness to WAEC and the subsequent response from the Honorable Frank Anodompreh as to how much has been paid to WAEC so far.
Mr. Speaker, let me draw your attention. Today as we speak, WAEC is complaining that they do not even have money to conduct BEC exams. That is what we should pay attention to. We don't see that to the agents, and we don't see that as an issue that we should address immediately. What we are talking about is taking National Service Bill and the certificate of agency. When in natural for this country, BEC is to be written very soon, and WAEC is unable to raise money to do it, and nobody is talking about that. I think that the ministers should be interested in raising money for WAEC to be able to conduct BEC exams for our children, rather than coming here to rush through this document when we have very, very pertinent issues to address. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On the matter of releasing to WAEC, Chief will bear me out. When this morning we came to the chamber, the ranking member raised it, and I have details of it here. He raised issues about releasing to WAEC for the conduct of exams. And the ranking member, the respected ranking member, gave me copies. So myself and the Chief Whip, we followed up and we spoke to the Minister of State, Honorable Abner Saisai. Chief got back to the ministry, did all the checks, and confirmed that indeed they have made significant release. Significant. Well, please, listen to me. So we are told an amount of 80 million has been released. So please, my colleague can make all his point, but he should stay clear of that. The matter has been dealt with.
Well, so that's the Member of Parliament for the Nsoma Dwejure constituency, Frank Anodompre, who ended that voice you just heard. He is the Majority Chief Whip reacting to that statement from the Bolibamba constituency Member of Parliament about how much WAEC is owed and how much has been paid now. Let's get some confirmation on this, because John Kapi is Head of Public Affairs at the West African Examinations Council, WAEC. Mr. Kapi is joining us on the telephone. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Hot Edition.
Good evening, my pleasure.
First off, can you confirm to us the receipt of some 80 million CDs from government for the organization of the BEC?
Yeah, thank you, and good evening to your listeners. The document that I have that we received from the government today is a warrant that we have received from the Finance Ministry for an amount of 47.125 million Ghana cedis.
47.125 million.
125, yeah. So the total amount 47,125,594.12 Ghana cedis.
And not the 80 million CDs that the Member of Parliament said.
The warrant I have, not 80 million, it's 47.125.
I see. How significant is this for the organization of BEC?
Well, we would be able to conduct the examination, but then we will need more funds to be able to process the results and release. Would also need more funds in order to be able to pay our debtors. You know, the process of running the examination is broken down to three parts. We have the pre-exams process, the examination, and then the post-examination. Now, the pre-examination, we actually had to procure some examination stationery by way of answer booklets. Thankfully, some of our printers printed the answer booklets for us to the tune of 12.6 million. We've had to buy bond paper for printing at the printing press at the tune of 48 million. And we've also had to buy pencils to the tune of 1.146 million. Now, so you look at all these figures and you realize that this amount that has been released, we would not be able to settle all these debts in order that, we'll be credit worthy to have them release other things to us in the future if we need them. So, well, we'll go ahead in order that we don't truncate the academic calendar. We can go ahead and conduct the examination, but which means that we still have to get some more money to pay the people that we owe, and also to pay our supervisors and regulators, as well as examiners with marking the steps after the examination.
Great detail there. So, how much would you need, as it were, to settle all these debts? Because as you're saying, your suppliers are giving you all of these items to organize the exams based on goodwill, based on the relationship that you have with them. But certainly, if this continues and it drags, is going to derail that goodwill and the relationship that you have with them. So how much exactly do you need as we speak?
Well, in fact, if the entire amount is paid to us, we'll be able to settle all our indebtedness and also be able to, pay these people. For example, when it comes to the distribution of question papers, at the district level, we've got to pay about 3.6 million by way of fuel to move the question papers from our examination depots to the examination centers. We've got to pay some refreshment allowance to those who are escorting and those driving the vehicles. So you realize that there's a lot of cost. And then also when it comes to marking, the figure may vary depending on the number of examiners who are present. You don't pay absentee examiners, of course. So we would not be able to give a round figure. However, from the way we do our budget, we ensure that all of these cost elements are taken into consideration. So if the government releases the other half of the fees, we should be able to process everything and then release results as and when the time comes.
And the full amount we're talking about is how much?
The full amount as we speak is 95.837 306 million Ghana cedis. And what we receive right now is 47.125, which is about half of the amount that we need.
I see. So you need an additional 47. So if you round it up to about 96 million, and you've gotten 47 now, you need about 49 million, almost 49 million.
Almost 49 million, exactly, to be able to, complete the entire process and also make ourselves credit-worthy by settling all our indebtedness.
I see. Now, we're talking about the significance of the timeliness of this release, especially when it comes to the quality of the examinations. How is the timeliness or the timeous release of this important to the quality of the examinations organization?
Right. Now, what we do, as I mentioned earlier, we have our pre-examination activities in order that we don't derail anything and, put our exams in jeopardy or, have some kind of test security challenges. We go ahead of everybody to start to put in place all those items that need to be done before the conduct of the examination itself. In fact, that is what caused us to ask for the printing of the answer booklets and also buying of the paper and the pencils and all of that. But then if money is released early, what happens is that we're able to procure all of these items in good time, and that helps us in our administration of the examination. But then when it comes to test security, at least we are able to manage with that effectively.
But confirm this, that you had received some 2.284 million before this before this 47 million was released today?
That is correct, yes. We received some 2.284618 earlier. That was on the 17th of May, yeah.
I see. So in total, you having just about some 49, almost 50 million out of the 95 million that you need. If you add
when all of the deductions are done, yes, will be around that figure, yes.
Okay, but aside from this, the money, the almost 96 million you need to organize this ESBC, there is also an outstanding payment of some 698,500,000, correct?
It's 698,500.
698,500. I beg your pardon. That's what it is.
That's from 2023. Yeah.
That's from 2023. Any indication of when this is going to be cleared? Have you received any notice from government about when this 698,500 is going to be cleared?
Well, as to speak, we've not received any information from them regarding that amount.
But has there been any communication about that to the ministry?
Oh, yes, that has been the practice. Whenever we need money, we write. So we have documents to that effect, letters that we've written asking for the release of, these funds. Yeah.
I see. So, but the arrears, is it just specific to 2023 or there are arrears that predate 2023?
For BEC, we only have arrears up to 2023, but with the WAS, we have arrears that go beyond the 2023.
That's for WASI?
Yes, for WASI, yes.
I see. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Kapi, but just to put it on record, you have not received 80 million cedis as communicated today in Parliament. It is 47.125 million that you have received as we speak, correct?
That is correct.
I thank you so much.
My pleasure.
The Director of Public Affairs of the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, John Kapi, there. So that's the information that we have right now. This is news just coming through. The West African Examinations Council says they have not received 80 million cedis as communicated by the Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre earlier today in Parliament, and that's news that has been published widely, that the government has released some 80 million cedis to WAEC for the organization of the Basic Education Certificates Examinations BC, which start on the 8th of July. What WAEC is just telling us right now that they've received just about 47 million, not 80 million, as was communicated. And let's stay a bit further on this matter, because there's a lot more arrears that government will have to pay to WAEC to put them together to organize this BEC efficiently. And thankfully, we have the chairman of the Ghana National Education Coalition Campaign, Jenek Joseph Achu Homaji. She's been listening to Mr. Kapi talking to me. So, Aji, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, my brother. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So that's
good evening to your listeners.
Great. That's the reality check from WAEC, that the 80 million that has been communicated, that has been released, that's not the case. They've received just about 47 million, and clearly they're only leveraging on the goodwill that they have with their suppliers to be able to get the materials on credit to organize these exams. That's what's happening right now, Zaji.
Yeah, thank you very much once more. Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, GNEC, we are even worried about the whole issue. We are worried because these things should have been prioritized. Because Minister of Education, for that matter, government is fully aware that these children are going to take exams. Now we are left with almost 3 weeks to go. So I don't know why this thing should be an issue in the media and everywhere. And the government knows that this is my responsibility. I have to give money to WAEC. So if we don't give the money, how do they organize the exam? So this is going to put WAEC under pressure. And all of us, all the major stakeholders, because we are all worried about the fact that WAEC is complaining that they have not received their funding from the government to organize or to conduct the exams for the children. So we are worried. And that's why we have even issued a statement to that effect, encouraging the government to make sure that they pay the entire money to WAEC, so that the WAEC will be in the right position to conduct the exam. You see the gentleman, the WAEC gentleman, you see he's saying that the 47 is not enough. Okay, so if it's not enough, where did they get the difference? Now the majority chief is also saying that I paid 80 million. I don't know where this information is coming from. So you see the contradiction going on, which is not very good for education. It's not very good for the examination you are going to conduct. It's not very good for the system.
I see, but if you listen
now,
to...
the chief is saying they are paid 80 million from the government. WAEC is saying, no, it's not 80 million, it's 47 million. Where do we go from here?
And if you listen to Frank Anodompre, he was quite detailed in that claim that they had checked with, in fact, they contacted the finance ministry and then checked with the Ministry of Education even before they came into Parliament today, this morning.
Exactly.
And that 80 million had
we are worried. We are worried, and we want to encourage the government, for that Ministry of Education and Junior, that they should make sure they pay the rest or the balance so that WAEC can be in the right position. Now, the gentleman is telling us they have debt to settle. We have borrowed certain things because the money is not in now. You see? So assuming the creditors that say we are also not in the right position to loan you all these things, then what will be the fate of what is going to be the fate of the examination as far as our children are concerned? So we want to encourage the government to prioritize these things and make sure that they give money to WAEC to conduct the exams for our children.
I see. Now, talk about even this. It appears that this is a trend that has been going on, because I asked him about the arrears and how far it predates this year. And he talks about, for instance, for BEC, they have arrears of 698,500 Ghana cedis from last year. And then for WASI, they have arrears that goes beyond 2023, as far back as 2020.
So this revelation is a worrying situation. I heard the gentleman, as for WASI or the previous, whatever the provider examination, they have arrears beyond 2023. So you can imagine. It means the invigilators, because I've been hearing invigilators have been complaining that they have not been receiving their allowances for the invigilation. So you see, the whole setup is just a problem, which we feel that the government should try to address. Because if WAEC is complaining this way, then they are running at law. So how would they deliver quality work if they don't have the resources to do it? And all of us should be worried. All stakeholders in education should be worried about this development.
And in talking about
and we should speak truth. We should speak truth to the whole fact. We should speak to the fact and the truth to the fact that this development is problematic, and we ought to encourage the government to settle it whatever with WAEC, so that WAEC will be in the right position to conduct the examination for our children.
And to the extent that this is not the first, and it's been continuing for a while, from the GNEC perspective, what should be done to ensure that at least at the start of the organization of the exam, WAEC will be giving some substantial amount of money to start the process, at least?
Yes. We from perspective of GNEC, we are encouraging the government to prioritize these things, educational issues, and especially when it comes to examination. Because at the end of the day, the child spends about so many years in school. If it is BC, 9 years in school. If it is 3 years in school. Now when it's getting to the time for this child to write the examination, now the child is hearing all these stories. Even these stories can put the child psychologically, can put the child off. Okay, because they don't know their fate as at now. WAEC is complaining, don't have money. I mean, so we have paid. These children are listening to all these conversations ongoing. I mean, psychologically, what are we doing to these children?
So
we are encouraging the government that moving forward, the government should prioritize this so that it doesn't reoccur.
Well,
because from the WAEC gentleman's whatever, it means it has been reoccurring. We want to plead with the government so that they make sure it doesn't reoccur. So it can have smooth filling of activities and examination activities moving forward.
Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time. That's the chair, National Chairman of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, Joseph Achu Homaji there. Quite concerning, to say the least, is it not?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's bring you some more, because the board chairman of the GMPC and former chair of the governing NPP, Freddie Blay, says that there's nothing wrong with SNIT deciding to sell stakes in 4 hotels to individual companies. Now, this comes after backlash on the decision. Now, you would recall that organised labour, led by the Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto, held a protest against the sales of the hotels to Brian Champon. Mr. Blay says there's nothing wrong with the initiative. Listen to an interview he granted me earlier today.
So, Labour, you've given, Senate decided to get involved with hotel management and purchase La Palm and all others and all invested in it. I don't believe they want to consult TUC before they did that.
You don't think it was right for them to do so?
I'm surprised you are asking this question.
Because
you've given, listen, please, you've given the management of SNIT the funds that individuals contribute to put up. The SNIT is supposed to invest. And when they are investing, they don't organize elections to ask for opinion from the but of course, there is a board of directors involved in SNIT.
Mr. Blay, so you're going back to my point.
No, I'm going to your point. But if you ask me this question, I must take time to explain. When you want to tell that, once SNIT decide that they want to purchase a hotel, they should go to TUC.
I'm not saying that. We have 4 members, we have 4 representatives of organized labor.
It means they are involved in it.
But what I'm saying is that they have come out and say,
Thank you. Say if they are involved.
I'm saying that
yes.
You're saying they've been on the board when this discussion started, this process started somewhere in 2018. They had been against it, and they said that we don't think that this is in the best interest of workers of Ghana, and it looked like their concerns were put away, and that is one of the reasons they actually hit the street.
I'm surprised. So when you have a board of directors, they take a decision. The decision is binding. The decision is one decision. If we are 10 members of the board, 7 of us decide that we are going this way. One of them gets up to say that my protest was ignored. And this one you want to take on board and discuss with me. I'm telling you, I am a chairman of a board of directors. If we go for a meeting, I may be the chairman. If the board together, jointly, decide that this is the way we go, irrespective of my individual protest or disagreement of it, the decision that is taken binding on us.
So you think
but I don't want to go into that.
No,
please, I don't want to go into that. As to what happened in their boardroom.
No, I'm
but let's discuss.
Saying that the stance of organized labor now is hypocritical.
I'm saying I don't want to go into that as to how the decision was arrived at and who took a decision, who participated and who protested and so forth. But I will be surprised that 4 members of a board, I don't know how many members they are. 4 members, I don't know how many. The strength of the board is together. They are taking a decision that we don't want one hotel to be sold. It's a decision that will be taken by the board.
And you heard the board chair of GMPC, also former chairman of the governing MPP. There will be more of this interview on Ghana Tonight, Alfred.
Certainly so, and that's why I want to make some time at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight for the full complement of what Freddie Blay was trying to say. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and W93.5 in Y and beyond. 10 minutes to the top of the hour, 6 p.m. We're back after this quick break with the business news here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're going to tell you a bit about Bills Microfinance before the business news and why you should make some time, check them out, and also get some details on the services that they are offering here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And Michael Obodo is standing by with the latest in the world of business, after which we'll have the sports news here on 3FM 92.7. Stay with us, we'll be back shortly.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has
micro-lending, empowering lives and making dreams a reality. Today, we're excited to announce a new age. Quick Credit is now Bills Microcredit. Still committed to serving Ghanaians and changing lives. Bills is here to show you that everything is possible. Join us as we embrace a brighter future. Bills, financing your needs.
Well, hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up this evening, economist Professor Lord Mensah fears progress made with external bond holders could lead to further depreciation of the cedi by up to 20 cedis to the dollar. We'll bring you details shortly. Please stay with us. Well, thank you for your time, and straight into our top story. As Ghana makes significant progress with its external bond restructuring, economist Professor Lord Mensah is concerned that the resumption of debt payments could lead to further depreciation of the local currency, potentially up to 20 cedis to the dollar. This comes as the country recently reached an agreement in principle with its bondholders for the restructuring of $13 billion worth of international debt. This report has the details.
Advocating for the gender-responsive tax reforms is essential. The need for Ghana as a developing country to implement policies channeled towards equity with respect to the tax regime is necessary to ensure the sustainability and quality of livelihoods, especially for women and other marginalized groups. This would ensure equal opportunities for all.
We apologize for that. We'll bring you the insert to that story shortly. Now, 3 civil society organizations are pushing for an equitable tax justice system in the country and stop illicit financial flows. Ghana loses some $1.4 billion annually to illicit financial outflows. Under the program Scaling Up Tax Justice, the CSOs said improving policies and laws to track and stop illicit financial outflows and enhancing fair and equitable tax revenue mobilization is imperative. At a forum to discuss the justice system, Executive Director for NetRight Ghana, Patricia Blankson Akakbo, said government must block the loopholes within the tax system and stop the loss of Ghana's revenues through illicit financial flows.
Developing country to implement policies channeled towards equity with respect to the tax regime is necessary to ensure the sustainability and quality of livelihoods, especially for women and other marginalized groups. This would ensure equal opportunities for all. Ghana's parliament remains an important and critical decision-making body. Hence, their role in advancing an equitable tax regime in Ghana is crucial. Ghana, for the 17th time, has gone back to IMF bailout, while we continue to lose 1.4 billion yearly.
So that was Executive Director for NetRight Ghana, Patricia Blankson Akakbo. Away from that, now, meanwhile, member of the African Parliamentary Network for Illicit Financial Flows, Kwame Jujoli Gakpe, said the group will ensure government implements gender-sensitive tax regimes to give tax exemptions to women.
I've never firmly believed that advocating for the gender-responsive tax reforms is essential to creating a fair, inclusive tax system. Such reforms must consider the unique economic role and challenges faced by women and ensure that tax policies do not exacerbate.
We apologize for the poor quality of that audio. Now, while concerns are rife about the potential job losses associated with the adoption of artificial intelligence, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, believes AI can augment human capabilities rather than replace them. This report has the details. Many fear that the introduction of artificial intelligence in business operations globally could lead to significant job losses as AI's precision and lower cost might make it a preferred option over human workers. However, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana argues that AI is designed to enhance human collaboration with technology, not to replace it.
Through customer-centric approach, which is key and which pushes that concept that says the customer is the single most important factor in business, so ought to be treated as such. Another one is leveraging technology. And the last, but certainly not the least, building strong relationships.
Meanwhile, CEO of sales and marketing company MGA Consulting, Michael Abu, added that artificial intelligence has led to an increase in the need for skilled professionals in the industry. He stressed the need to review the educational system to accommodate this growing trend.
It's rather caused a demand. And as we speak now, there is more demand for salespeople than there is supply. And so AI is good, but it's really come to help us, and it's created the need for us. And we need to start changing the way we educate our young people. We need to start training our leaders to understand the environment of technology and its role within our commercial space.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report. We'll take you back to our earlier story from Professor Lord Mensa. Well, some technical hitches there. Well, that'll be all for today's edition of the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. Starting off on a sad note, former Mediama and Ashanti Gold striker Hans Kofi has been tragically killed in a car crash at Dadring on Friday, according to multiple reports. The 35-year-old was traveling to his hometown in Dompim Pepiasa when his car got involved in an accident which claimed his life instantly at Dadring, nearby village near his hometown. Thoughts and prayers to the family if this is confirmed true. Hans Kofi was the Ghana Premier League top scorer in 2017. So a very, very big miss, allegedly or reportedly, for the Ghana football and the Ghana Premier League as a whole. But still on local football, the MTN FA Cup final comes off on Sunday as Bofo Akwatano takes on Instructorman FC. Now, both teams have never won the MTN FA Cup before. Bofo Akwatano last played in the final in 1983, and for Instructorman is their debut in the final. Now, we spoke to Mohamed Shaban, who is a statistician in Ghana football, and this is how he previewed the final.
It will be very difficult to even predict as to who is likely to win, especially when the relegated team this season eliminated the defending champions of the MTN FA Cup, and that is Dreams FC. So that is enough motivation for Bofo to go all out in pursuing to get the win over the back. If you look at both teams, Nsuatraman have scored 7 goals, have considered 1. Bofo have scored 8 and considered 2. So it looks, the obvious statement is that the defensive line of Bofo is a bit weak, and of course, you can pick that from their last 6 games played in the league. They are a bit weak, whilst the defensive pair of Nsuatraman is okay, and that is why they have considered just once in 5 matches, and then Bofo have considered 2 in 5 matches. But of course, the goals conceding defense is 1, and most goals scored defense is 1. So it looks like if you pick those 2 teams, they are equal. Stephen Owusu for Bofo, Saka Dauda, Elijah Ade. Then for Instructorman, I'm not surprised they've scored 7 goals, because they would have to rely on Collins Kofi Kuju, who is. But the strength of the Instructorman team is the midfield. Mana Afuma, Sadat Mohamed, Nija Shibote Akwe, and then Solomon Oblite Kome, Zach Razak. So it's going to be a tough game, because obviously the only strength of Instructorman is their defense, but in terms of goal scoring, Bofo have the upper edge.
It's going to be a tough game indeed. The final will take place on Sunday at 6 p.m. at the Legon Stadium in Accra. Now, moving on to Heart to Folk. Of course, we spoke to journalist Sadiq Adams, who has mentioned that Heart to Folk need to change their head coach following their poor form in the Ghana Premier League this season. Abubakar Ouattara joined the club at the middle of the campaign and started quite well, but getting to the end of the campaign, Heart to Folk struggled and narrowly avoided relegation. Now, Sadiq Adams believes there are some coaches who are more than qualified to take over the role as Heart to Folk seek to come back to the top of local football.
Yeah, they can still go back for Boadu. I'm sure that he's eager. He was eager to return, as I know. He was very eager to have a return to House of Folk. But for some people that he thought should be out of the club before he comes, Samuel Boadu is still there. They could have gone in for Samuel Boadu's assistant, Hamza, who brought a lot of young players who are now performing for the club in Amankwa Befi and the others. He knows them quite well. He knows the system of the club. Very young. He's qualified Vision FC for the Premier League for the first time in their history. I think that's for just the reason that he's come to House of Folk and won 5 trophies in 2 seasons and knows the club. Even if they don't want Boadu, Hamza Obin can lead the club in terms of rebuilding. He's also a scout. If he has the requisite certificate, I think that's the kind of manager. David Duncan is still home. I know he will not coach, but there is their former manager, CK Akono, is also so many managers around. I would have even thought that they could have gone for Bashir Hayford the times that they went to Ivory Coast for Ouattara, because Bashir Hayford is also known for building teams from the scratch. Kotoko nearly were relegated before he came in 2007-2008 and took them to the semi-finals of the Confederations Cup. So there are managers here, but I'm sure that they are not trusted by the administrators, who are also not trusted by the managers themselves.
There are indeed some options for Hearts of Oak ahead of next season. Moving on to European football, there's the Euro 2024 that is currently ongoing. And here are the results so far. Slovakia lost by 1-2 to Ukraine, and Austria managed to defeat Poland by 3-1. And so this is how it's affecting the group standings. In Group E, we have Romania on top with 3 points, Ukraine second with 3 points, Slovakia third with 3 points, and Belgium are fourth with 0 points. And this is the other group for you. We have the Poland's group, that is Group D. France are on top with 3 points, Netherlands are second with 3, Austria are third with 3, and Poland are fourth with 0 points so far. Later tonight, Netherlands will take on France, who are the 2018 champions of the FIFA World Cup. And here are the lineups for both teams. For France, we have Magnan in goal, Theo Hernandez in defense with Saliba, Upamecano, and Jules Koundé. In midfield, we have Rabiot, Kante, and Chouameni. And in attack, we have Griezmann, Thuram, and also Ousmane Dembele. For Netherlands, we have Verbruggen in goal. We have Dumfries, De Vrij, Van Dijk, and Ake in defense. In midfield, we have Schouten, Simons, and Reinders. And in attack, we have Jeremy Frimpong, Memphis Depay, and Cody Gakpo. All 3 players have roots to Ghanaian. They are of Ghanaian descent. Jeremy Frimpong was once courted by the Ghana Football Association to become a Black Stars player, but rejected Depay as well. And Cody Gakpo, his father, is also Ghanaian as well. That brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen, and Beatrice is on standby with more.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, you know, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
Radio Development Show Host of the Year, 2016-2017.
And the winner is John Hughes. Check.
Hi, my name is Johnny Hughes, your community rights advocate, and I'm still on the quest to bring smiles into your communities with Community Connect on 3FM 92.7. Join me this and every Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on 3FM, and together we will solve the problems bothering your communities.
I know your program is a program that always get a result. Myself, I'm a witness to that.
What can we do to help your community today in terms of education, health, sanitation, security, and all the issues in between from your community's perspective? Tune in to Community Connect every Friday morning at 9 a.m. as we get interactive live on radio and on Twitter at 3FM 927 and on Facebook at 3FM 92.7. Community Connect, helping solve your community problems.
If given the chance, would you want to know? Would you want to know your child's true paternity or maternity? Are you willing to risk knowing a truth that could change everything? Who's the real dad or mom? Are you? On
The Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, is to present to Parliament the Free Senior High School Bill in the coming days. According to the Majority Leader, Alexander Fanyomarking, enacting a free SHS bill into law would give it legal backing and make it mandatory for all governments to implement the policy. He was speaking in Parliament, the leader review that President Akufo-Addo has given an executive approval for the bill, which is expected to be laid by the Education Minister in the coming days. Take a listen.
Mr. Speaker, there is an arrangement that on Tuesdays and Thursdays we sit after 3, and as a result of that, questions will receive written answers, which answers will be published for members. So that arrangement is in place. So no member will lose an opportunity to have answers to questions because of the late sitting. Mr. Speaker, we have some very important bills. The Affirmative Action Bill, the National Service Authority Bill. We also have the all-important
the all-important free SHS bill, which has received the executive approval, and it's on its way to this House. It's on its way. Mr. Speaker, having finished this business statement, I want to urge colleagues that we are all in this together.
Majority Leader Alexander Penyomarking. Yes, sir, here on Hot Edition, now economist and the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi, says that the government needs to tell Ghanaians when the repayment of the agreement with bilateral creditors will start. The Ministry of Finance is reported to have reached an agreement with bondholders for the restructuring of 13 billion worth of international debt. The country earlier this month agreed a pact with its official creditor committee to formalize a debt restructuring deal reached in January. Here is Professor John Gachi.
Well, what it means is that the deadlock about the default status of the country is gradually being lifted, being replaced by a new debt agreement that will have a new date for repayment to start. That is the implication of this agreement. But to a large extent, it also needs to define when the repayment is starting, what are being sacrificed in terms of the earnings of the creditors, then when are we going to resume the repayment. So these are the things that are very crucial for us. We want to know whether the government has negotiated for something that take away repayment obligations from maybe this financial year to, let's say, 2027 or 2026. Those are the things that are very important to the economy. Again, we see the debt burden of the country still in existence. So if we are going to resume repayment of those debts, then you can imagine that the debt burden will be escalated for the country. I think what the IMF is looking at is largely some agreement between the country and the debt holders. And I believe that there is some memorandum of understanding. And that has already triggered the IMF announcing that 28th they are going to meet on Ghana's case to determine whether they should approve or not. So I believe that largely they are comfortable with the memorandum of understanding. And if that is done, then they will go ahead to approve the 360 tranche for Ghana, and again allow Ghana to have direct specific engagement with the creditors to agree upon.
Professor John Gachi is an economist. Our campaign trail tonight, with barely 6 months to the general election, there are concerns that smaller parties may not be doing enough to make themselves ready for the general election. And we're joined on the line now by Akwasi Ade Odike. He is founder and leader of United Progressive Party. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, madam.
How would you say your party is preparing for this year's general election?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to speak to my fellow Ghanaians. Let me correct this impression in the first place. You see, United Progressive Party is among the 17 parties that the EC scrapped from their political party list. So we've joined forces with Alain Martin, Alliance for Revolutionary Change. And I am the leader of union government. And we've joined forces with Alliance for Revolutionary Change, led by Alain Martin.
It means that you're not individually selecting your own executives?
No, for now not, because Kufuor won't allow me to be on the ballot sheet. He has done it.
Mr. Odike, I don't think it's okay for you to accuse the president directly when you don't have evidence. You want to speak about this, you come in with evidence. I don't think it's okay for you to make allegations without evidence. So can you make your point without accusing anybody without evidence?
Are you holding brief for Nana Kufuor?
I'm not holding brief for anybody. I'm just saying that if you want to make allegations, you come with evidence, and the person can come back to challenge whatever evidence you provided.
Fine. But I said I have evidence, and you didn't allow me to flow. So I thought it wise not to be disgraced publicly that I was unable to file my nominations. I contested before, and I know the processes, and they are violating the processes. And because the whole nation is not supporting the up-and-coming political parties, all the attentions are on NDC and MPP. So if we complain, nobody even come to, digest the issues. Then everybody walk over us, and we don't have the voice to protest against the nullification of EC for some political parties.
Ms. Odike, you just talked about joining forces with Alain Martin's new group. Are you able to tell us how things are shaping up even ahead of the 2024 general election with this alliance?
Perfect. We are moving from one region to the other. And we went to Koforidia, and it was marvelous. The last time, a week ago, we were in Tamale. Monday, we are holding a conference in Movenpick, Accra, to unveil the GTP, that is Great Transformational Plan, which we are going to use as our blueprint to govern this country. So we are moving into the people, and my dear, a change is coming. Ghanaians are craving for this change, and they are embracing it, and a lot of identifiable groups are coming in their numbers. It's so wonderful to see such a massive support garnered for in support of Mr. Alain Martin. So we have selected our leader. We've subordinated our interests to become the flag bearer to that of Mr. Alain Martin. So we are all rallying behind him. We are 10 organizations, 10 political leaders, and our followers. We've joined forces, and this has been the desire for most Ghanaians that we need a third force, and one tree cannot make a forest. So we've decided to come together and put our resources together and ensure that we carry our message across to the people, and the door-to-door campaigning is still ongoing. And I believe sincerely that we are going to break the dominance duopoly of MPP and NDC.
Mr. Odike, you are a founding member, actually a founder and leader of the United Progressive Party prior to you joining this alliance. So obviously you consider yourself as a leader to an extent that you thought you could lead the country by founding your party and leading it. What position are you willing to take in this alliance going into this major election?
I'm not expecting anything, any position. All that draw me to the alliance is the cry of Ghanaians for a third force to replace MPP and NDC. So for now, I've relegated my interest to the background and joining the forces to make Ghanaians happy so that we do away with this dominance. And I think Alan Chamartin is a force to break that governance cycle of this duopoly.
And you heard that Kwasi Odike, he's a founder and former leader of United Progressive Party, now with the alliance formed by Alan Kojo Tremantin. And that's how we end Campaign Trail here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.